What is up, guys? Long time no see. It's actually confession time. Guys, I have to apologize immensely for being being MIA basically on Facebook, YouTube, basically all forms of social media. And I'm going to jump right into it. You guys know I like to ramble a lot, so I'm going to jump right into it. I have tried to make this video at least a half a dozen times in the last 3 months, and it just has not turned out the way that I wanted to or had it pictured in my head. I had the video in my head the way I wanted it to go, and every time I tried it, it just didn't turn out. It was either a bad idea to begin with, which is probably the case, or I just couldn't pull it off. So I'm just going to go ahead and get it out here in the open. So here's what's going on, gang. I did a live video in November, early December of last year, something like that, outlining why I had been gone from YouTube for a couple of months back then. I was talking about some pretty extreme changes to my work schedule that were temporary at that point in time, and how it had just taken away all my free time, forced me to reprioritize my life in such a way that YouTube no longer was a priority at all. And then I went on from there and talked about how in early 2018 I was going to start back to school, go to college, finish up a degree that I started many years ago, etc., etc. If you guys want to hear that entire sob story, I will go ahead and leave a link in the description below. It's not that interesting, so don't go watch it. It's not a big deal. Anyway, well, about a week after I made that video, maybe 2 weeks after I made that video, or made that live feed or whatnot, things totally changed again, you know. Per my life, nothing stays the same for any length of time. Every time I make a plan, something happens and everything changes. Without turning a relatively short story into a long one by my rambling, one thing I have not made public here on YouTube, by and large anyway, is that for 5 years at my current employer, I worked nights. I knew when I took this job that I would have to pay my dues, so to speak, until I got to such a point where I would have seniority enough to be able to get moved to first shift when an opportunity arose. Since January of this year, I have been on first shift, and for those that have worked nights know that things, working days versus nights, are totally different. Yes, I've used the time to catch up on some work around the property that I've wanted to get done that I couldn't do when I was working nights, but mostly I've just enjoyed being your quote-unquote normal American family man again, and it has been awesome. But I still have the bug. I still do have the YouTube bug. And so with that being the case, with the differing priorities on first shift, I don't have the time to dedicate to YouTube like I had when I was working night shift. That when I do have time to make YouTube videos, they're probably going to be a little bit different, which is a big reason why I'm making the video today, or I would just jump right back into the way things were and just start making videos again. The main reason why I wanted to explain all this to you guys today is that somewhere in the relative near future there is likely going to be a name change on the channel here, and I wanted to give fair warning before you guys log on to your YouTube feed and bam, who is this? I don't remember subscribing to this, whatever the channel name is. And I wanted to give you guys a heads up, mainly because of this. And there will be a longer video on this subject, not necessarily pertaining to me, but on this subject. But when I first got into the whole bushcraft thing, the reason I chose to start focusing on primitive skills and what is known as bushcraft today is because that was an area in my skill set or survivability skill set that I felt like was lacking. And 10 plus years ago when I first started focusing on that, I looked at it like, if I'm going to be a responsible father, a responsible husband, and have faith that I have the skills and the knowledge to be able to keep my family safe in any random given situation, even no matter how unlikely it is, then I need to focus on this and just to round out my skill set. And so I started focusing on that, and then several years later I fell into YouTube, and it kind of, that rabbit trail of personal education led to what Feral Woodcraft is today. Now, don't take any of what I'm about to say or what I have said to say that I feel like my skills are, that I'm some expert that I can now rely on myself to survive any wilderness survival situation. I'm not saying that at all, not in the least. What I am saying is that my priorities in life have changed to the point where I don't have the time to dedicate to spending out in the woods, practicing skills, making videos, doing all the stuff that you're used to seeing here on this channel. I don't have that kind of time anymore. I still very much enjoy going out in the woods. I still very much enjoy practicing these skills, but like I have repeated here, I don't have the time to dedicate nearly as much to it as I once did. But I also, now that I've kind of gotten my head out of that bubble of being in my own little world of YouTube and survival, wilderness survival skills and stuff like that, and gear reviews and all that stuff. Now that I've been out of that bubble for a while, my focus is more on things that are relatable to real life. Honestly, I feel like bushcraft, it's a great hobby. It is useful in that if you ever get lost in the woods and stuff like that, however, that being, I mean, you stand a far greater chance of getting in a car wreck and needing to have some kind of first aid skills, CPR or whatnot. You stand a far greater chance of having to defend yourself from some kind of violent attack than you do ever getting lost in the wilderness and needing to rely on your wilderness survival skills. So I feel like my focus needs to, yeah, actually it already has, but I feel like my focus needs to go back to something that is more relatable to real world possibilities. So when I say I still have the bug, I still do enjoy making YouTube videos. I enjoy the process. I enjoy playing around with the editing of it. I enjoy talking to you guys. It is a hobby that I have missed in the last year. I don't miss a lot of the pressures that are behind it, but as far as the changing in content, you guys we're not going to see a whole lot of gear reviews. I still have some that I have been incredibly lax on. I still have some gear that I need to knock some reviews out on. I do enjoy the review process, but I don't enjoy the pressures that go along with it. So what kind of content am I talking about here? Easy example that comes to mind. In the last 8 months or so, I have basically eliminated some pretty significant amount of pain that I had in my hands and my wrists by doing some pretty simple stuff that I haven't seen anywhere else. It was just an idea that I had. I played around with it and it seemed to make a difference, and anyway, I pushed on with it, and I'm virtually pain-free now. I'd like to share that with you guys, share that with my other IT geeks, and this is the platform that I have to do so. My point is that if I was to post a video under the name Feral Woodcraft that has to do with, how to eliminate carpal tunnel or something like that, or how I eliminated carpal tunnel or something like that, it doesn't really fit in that genre. And as much as I love the name Feral Woodcraft, and as hard as I have worked to build a brand out of the name Feral Woodcraft, I hate to see it go, but at the same time it is very limiting in how it fits. And I figure that, I've been off YouTube for a year, give or take. I've already broken all the YouTube rules, and in moving forward with the type of content that I want to lump together under one channel, it's going to continue to break the YouTube rules. So I might as well go ahead, and if I'm going to change the name of the channel to encompass or more accurately reflect the broader scope of what I want to share with YouTube or you guys, then now's the time to do it. The name I'm leaning towards is called Feral Living. I'm not 100% sold on that. But it could just be my nostalgic nature saying I don't want to say goodbye to Feral Woodcraft. I don't know, but that's that. One thing I do want to clarify, while the content will be changing somewhat, it won't be changing overall. It's not like there's not going to be bushcraft and cooking and stuff like that. The stuff you guys are used to seeing will still be here. It's just, I feel like because at least a significant minority of the kind of content will be changing, I feel like now's the time, if I'm going to change the channel name to more accurately reflect everything that the channel has to offer or will have to offer, now is the time to do it. So that being said, now that I've spilled the beans that the content type will likely be changing somewhat, what about the posting frequency? There for a long time I was very regular, at least 3 videos a week, and it just worked out to where I could do that, and I had enough content available to me to create to do that. But at the same time, those 3 videos a week, I feel like the quality of content decreased at that point in time. I want to kind of go back to the basics. I'm not going to delve into that right now, but I want to go back to the beginning to a certain degree of this channel, to where it's more of an exploratory type thing, a learning together type thing. Like I said, I do enjoy doing gear reviews. I really enjoy that. It's a fun process for me, but it took up too much of the content on this channel, and I want to, while keep that as a staple, I want it to take a lot more of a back seat than it was there for a long time. Cooking will likely increase on the channel, but like I said, I want to also hit up things that I feel like are more relevant to real life and not just a hobby. But as far as posting frequency, I have no idea how that's going to work out. I know I'm going to start prioritizing time for YouTube a little bit more because I've really missed it. And now that life has somewhat normalized, my kids are going back to school, life has changed to the point now that I feel like I can at least dedicate some of my free time to it without taking away from something more important. But as far as frequency goes, I'm just going to play it by ear, figure it out. And if it works out to be once a week, great. If it works out to be once a month, great. Anyway, folks, I have yacked and yacked and yacked. I have yacked far too much. So I'm going to cut it off here. Probably do have more that I should say. Ask your questions down in the comment section below. I will be happy to answer them, and if I need to do a follow-up video, I will. One thing I would like to do that I have never done before, I would like to do a proper Q&A. So if you guys have questions, hit them up down below. I'll pick at some point in the near future, maybe a month or two from now, I will pick, say, maybe the top 10 questions, and I will do a Q&A video with you guys. I would like to make that more of a frequent thing, just as a kind of get to know you. Anyway, thank you very much for stopping by and giving me your 5 or 10 minutes, or probably more, because I have rambled quite a bit. You guys know me. Thank you very much. I look forward to seeing you soon. Be sure to hit up that comment section. Ask me your questions. Just say hi, and we will talk soon. Thanks again, guys, and have a great Labor Day weekend.